Hello, everybody, and welcome to Decoding the WSL, the podcast dedicated to the stats and facts in the WSL. We are having a look ahead to Game Week 3 coming up this weekend. I'm your host, Sam Biccarino, and alongside me, we've got two of the regulars. First up, we've got Izzy Duddy, again in another Arsenal shirt.
Hello, yes, I don't care about anyone else, so that's absolutely why all my collection is just Arsenal.
Well, me and Jacob have also gone for football shirts on this one. I've tried to go for a little bit more. I mean, it's a men's football shirt because it's from a Champions League final back in 2007. But I did notice that AC Milan men and women won this weekend, so I thought that was a fitting one. And then, as you might have guessed, our other guest on the pod today is Jacob, and we've established that we've both got the same shirt.
Yeah, I've gone for Brazil 02 with Ronaldo on the back. So not quite WSL, but a classic.
A classic indeed, and definitely produced around the time which my one may not have been. But I probably didn't pay as much, so who's the real winner? Let's move on to the games that are coming up this weekend. We'll start with the ones on Friday night. So let's kick off with Everton against London City Lionesses. Now, this one was a bit hard to prepare for because these teams have never played each other. I think they might have done years ago when London City Lionesses were Millwall before they sort of changed over, and I think they separated clubs, etc. So quite difficult to prep for this, but I did notice that when I was looking on FOTMob at the weekend, that these are the two teams, or two of the three teams that have conceded the most XG this season. London City Lionesses on 5.4 and Everton on 4. So it could be a game of, I guess, leaky defences, do you think, Jacob? Or do you think both teams are going to sort of try and make a statement here and fix it against another team?
Yeah, I'm thinking leaky defences. I've got both teams to score in this one. I think it's tough to call because Everton obviously had such a good start in match day 1 with that resounding win against Liverpool, but then obviously lost to Spurs in match day 2. So it's difficult to know what Everton are going to show up. From London City Lionesses' perspective, again, unsure how they're going to perform just because they have faced both United and Arsenal at the start of the season, and although the results haven't gone their way at all, conceding 4 and 5 to Arsenal and United, I think hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll start to see that London City Lionesses kind of takeover team start to perform. I think this game might just come too early for them. I kind of want Everton to win just because Everton are at home, and I think it's really nice seeing. It was really nice seeing Everton at Goodison for the first time, I guess, since they made their permanent move to Goodison last week against Spurs. And I think there was a really good crowd there, and I think this season gives them a real opportunity to make Goodison a fortress. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 Everton win. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if kind of it's a draw, or I think it'll be a 1-goal game. 1 goal in it is the game.
Interesting, because I've gone, a 2-goal game. I've put a 3-1 Everton win for this one because I think London City Lionesses, they've shown that they are capable of scoring because they've scored in both of their games so far, and one of them was a penalty, which was well won, and the other one was a real goal, like a really good goal against Manchester United. So they have the quality to score, but I think conceding just 2 goals is maybe a step too far against an Everton side that had a bit of a blip in their last game. I think it was. I don't think Everton were necessarily bad in their last game. I think it was more that Spurs were good. So I think Everton will get back into this game. They'll be really up for getting their first win at Goodison, since they've had Goodison as their permanent home anyway. So I'm going for a 3-1 Everton win in this one. It'll also be good for my fantasy team and good for my sort of credibility because I said they were going to be the best of the rest. So if they could get some more points on the board, that'd be fantastic. Izzy, how about you? How do you see this game going?
Yeah, I think I'm torn between the two of you, to be honest. I can't decide I'm definitely I think I'm leaning towards 2-1. I can see the argument for 3-1, but I think Everton will come back. Whether they come back decisively, I'm not so sure yet. I think they needed to be a lot more clinical. If that's something they can fix in a week, then that's fine. But I see them winning, but I don't necessarily see it being a stomper for them. I think the reason they did so well as well in the first game week was obviously Vignola's brilliance. So it's going to have to be much more of a team effort. So I'm going to say 2-1 for now, with a hopeful 3-1.
Sort of halfway between us both.
Yeah.
I think the Vinola thing is really interesting for me because I saw someone on, I can't remember what social media it was this week, say that she is basically this season's version of Kikaseke, who did really well in the first week, scored a hat trick, and then Kikaseke, she was fine for the rest of the season, but wasn't amazing. And could Vinola be that player this season? Will we see her get many more goals? But we'll have to wait and see. The other game on Friday is Spurs against Man City. This was quite a good game last season, I thought. It was actually a game that me and Jacob were both at. It was the first game I ever did in a press box, which was nice, so I've got good memories of it. A really close game, Alvaro scoring the winner. This is, I guess Spurs are the only side yet to concede in the WSL, as we've already spoken about, and they're only one of 4 teams with 6 points. One of those is not Manchester City, who are currently on 3 points. City need to win by 2 or more goals to go ahead of Spurs in the table, which is probably not something that we would be expecting to say a couple of games into the season, but here we are. It's not been a good run for Spurs against Man City. They haven't beaten City in their last 10 meetings in all competitions, and the last time Spurs did beat City, Rachel Williams was on the score sheet. It was a 2-1 win away at City back in September 2001. So it's been a bit of time since Spurs last got a victory against the Citizens. But Jacob, how are we feeling ahead of this one? Do you feel confident given the sort of 2 wins so far?
No, I don't feel confident just because it's a game against City. I think I'd be looking more at performance perhaps rather than result in this game. I think these for Spurs, these probably aren't the games that are going to be important come the end of the season. It's realistically the games against the teams that are going to be around us. Obviously, it has been a good start to the season with those 2 wins, especially the win against Everton was really impressive. As you mentioned, that kind of home game last season, it was 2-1 to City, but Spurs, we looked really, really good. It was 1-1 for a long time, and it was a cracking goal from Fagino to win it. And the reason as to why it was probably close is because Bunny Shaw was injured and didn't play. I've got nightmares of Bunny Shaw against Tottenham. She's got an exceptional record. Going back 3 seasons, in the last 3 seasons, she scored 12 goals against Tottenham, which include 3 hat tricks. Granted, all of those hat tricks have come at City, but she has still scored a goal away at Spurs in 23-24 and a double away at Spurs in 22-23. I've gone for a 3-1 City win. I think although our defence has been solid, I think it will get broken down. But I think from a Spurs perspective, we've got a couple of nice games after City. So I'd be looking more at those for positivity rather than this City game.
Yeah, I think it's one of those that if you look back on, 6 games into the season, if you look back on it and Man City is the game that you lost and you sort of were unbeaten in the rest of them, I think you'd probably be pretty happy with that. Let's make some predictions, I guess, for this. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for City because I think Spurs have been playing really well, so I don't think they're going to get thrashed. I think the system is working well for them. But at the same time, City have also got a new manager now. They're looking all right. I don't think the manager has had as much of a positive impact as Martin Ho has. But Glutz is still a good manager, and I think he's got City playing well. So with the extra quality in the squad that I think City have, I think they're just going to do enough to get past them. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win. 2-1 City win. Izzy, I'll come to you first on this one. How do you think it's going to go?
Do you know what? I'm kind of backing Spurs here. I'm going for KG 1-1. I'm going for a draw. I think Spurs can do enough to keep them out. And, I think we will see a City goal, but I see absolutely no reason why Spurs won't score and why they can't keep it level. I think they're looking good enough, and I don't think City, although they're playing well, they don't necessarily have the spark yet that they kind of need to thrash teams lower down the league. So I'm actually backing Spurs on this.
What is going on? I mean, I cannot believe the Spurs positivity. As in the life of a Spurs fan, it's the hope that kills you. So it's amazing that after 2 games, the narrative somewhat changed. But yeah.
Listen, Jacob, credit's where credit's due, and I love to keep you on your toes. Never know what's coming.
True.
Jacob, what was your score?
My score was 3-1 City, and I'll go with a Bunny Shaw double because of her previous record.
Because it sounds about right. I would like to just make a note of the fact that before we move on, that Izzy said I'm backing Spurs and then said it was going to be a draw.
That is me.
That is as much as Izzy's willing to back Spurs. We'll move on to Sunday's games. Let's start at Villa Park. This one's Villa against Liverpool. 2 sides still looking for a win this season. Villa have never beaten Liverpool at home in the WSL, which seems a bit weird because Villa are a decent side. They've done very well in WSL in recent years, so it seems strange they've never beaten Liverpool at home, but maybe just one of those quirks. The last 3 WSL meetings between these 2 sides have been won by whoever was the away team, but that does butt the trend a little bit when we have a look at pre-season, because Villa beat Liverpool 5-1 at home, albeit obviously not in a competitive game, so we don't know exactly how that will fare for this fixture this weekend. The fixture last season, the last time Villa hosted Liverpool, was a 2-1 Liverpool win when Taylor Hines scored twice, which was a very interesting game. And I remember seeing quite a few good pictures of that online and of Taylor Hines celebrating that goal. It was really a momentous day for her. I think it was around the same. It might have been the first game after she announced her citizenship for Jamaica as well. So yeah, she was absolutely flying at that moment in time. But I don't think Liverpool is still going to be flying this weekend. I think that despite the fact it was 5-1 in pre-season, I don't really see this being a massively high-scoring game, largely because I don't think Liverpool are performing that well at the moment. I don't really see any reason for that to change. I think Villa are doing pretty well, but Liverpool... I think Liverpool won't give up many chances, basically, and that's the reason I don't think Villa are going to score loads of goals, but I do see them getting on the score sheet. I've gone for a 1-0, could be 2-0. Liverpool might pull their finger out and actually the game goes the other way. I'm really not sure at this moment in time, but I'm going to put 1-0 Villa for now, and I'll try and stick to that. Jacob, I'll come to you first. How do we think this game's going to go?
Yeah, I think it's a really big game for both teams. Both teams winless after 2 games. Liverpool probably the more concerned of the two because Villa have played Chelsea. But yeah, Liverpool after losses to both Everton and Leicester. I think they really need to get something out of this game. Otherwise, you could be 3 losses and suddenly it really looks like a bad start to the season, especially considering the teams that they would have played and lost to in their opening 3 fixtures. But yeah, I've gone not too dissimilar from you, Sam. I've gone 2-0 Villa. I just have not been convinced by Liverpool in the first 2 weeks. Just speaking on the WSL more broadly, I think it's interesting how after 2 game weeks already, you already start to see a bit of a split in the league between almost like the better teams and the rest. And like obviously Spurs are on 6 points as well, but you've got
United. Yeah, I thought you might mention that.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant that like United, Arsenal, and Chelsea have all got 2 wins from 2, and then you've got 5 teams that are winless, and those are kind of the teams that you'd expect to be around that place in the table. And I think after this game week, especially if like City beat Spurs, for example, you might start to see already what the league could look like come the end of the season. So yeah, I think it's a big game for both Villa and Liverpool, but a 2-0 Villa win.
And Izzy, are you signing with us that it's going to be a Villa win?
Yeah, I've gone 2-0 as well. I think Liverpool defence is not looking convincing. And, Chastity Grant, Ebony Salmon, even Kirsty Hansen, I haven't even mentioned Rachel Daly, but, I think they can all pose a really good attacking threat. And I'm not convinced that Liverpool has the defence or the goalkeeper to cope, to be honest.
Yep, I think that's fair enough. Liverpool are very much just I think at the start of the season, I felt a bit hopeless for Leicester, and that's kind of how I feel for Liverpool at the moment. I think especially with the goalkeeper situation, Kirby being kind of thrown in with not really good preparation. If she'd been the keeper that'd been playing in pre-season, she'd be much more prepared for this. But so I feel a bit sorry for her as well. Coming in with not really the right prep or sort of enough experience. But yeah, I'm feeling a bit bad for for Liverpool at the moment. But well, with a 2-0, 2-0 and a 1-0, I can't wait for Liverpool to run out 8-4 victors and us all look stupid. So let's move on to another game that I think is going to be very low scoring. This one's Brighton against West Ham. I say low scoring because both sides have only scored one goal so far this season. And they are another two sides still looking for a win. It wasn't low scoring last season when these two met at Brighton. It was a 3-2 Brighton win. Katrina Gorry scoring twice. I remember getting quite a lot of points in fantasy. Not personally, but I remember seeing her getting quite a lot of points, unfortunately. I think I transferred her in shortly after that before she went on a 8-game streak of not doing anything. Something along those lines. But yeah, I'm not sold by West Ham so far this season. I don't think they're looking fantastic. To be honest, I don't think they looked that great last season. I think they just had a couple of really good players. So I'm not backing them to do very well in this game. I think Brighton signing Nadozi in goal has been such a good signing for them. She's been so good so far. She was in my team of the week for week 1. She was very nearly in my team of the week for week 2. And she may well be in my team of the week for week 3 if she keeps a clean sheet in this game, which I think she will. Brighton will probably dominate the ball. They like to dominate possession in matches. And I think West Ham will try and just sit in a low block and try and frustrate them. But Brighton will edge a goal from somewhere, from a bit of magic from someone, whoever that may be. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 Brighton win. Izzy, I'll come to you first. What are your predictions?
Yeah, I think I agree. Although I like to be more positive about West Ham, I think, unless they can kind of, pull it out the bag. If they pull it out the bag and it's their day, I think they could win quite convincingly, actually. But like you say, I think with the keeper Brighton have, they may not produce sort of attacking moments, but they're going to keep goals out. So I will say 1-0. I'm not sure it's going to be the most dynamic of matches, to be honest.
We've all been going quite similar scoreline so far as well, which I'm surprised at. But Jacob, are you going for 1-0 as well?
I'm not. I'm going slightly different on this one. I think it's a bit harder to call. I think both of these sides have been a bit disappointing at the start of the season. West Ham especially, with 0 points, with losses to Spurs and Arsenal. And I guess something that was so synonymous with West Ham last season was their strength in attack. Shakira Martinez, Rico Raki, and Vivian Asai. But they've only scored 1 goal so far this season, and that was the own goal from Daphne Van Zomselaar. So they've really had their struggles in front of goal. They've had the joint least XG in the league with 0.7. But we saw a lot of positives from both West Ham and Brighton last season. Brighton more towards the beginning of last season, West Ham towards the second half of the season. So I think this one's hard to call. I'd be very, very surprised if West Ham don't score, because that would mean that they would have only scored 1 goal in 3 games and it wouldn't have been from their player. So I'll go with a 1-1 draw, but similar to what you two said, I wouldn't be surprised if it went Brighton's way.
It'd be quite a sort of important 1-1 draw, I think, if that happened as well, because obviously that's then, not only is it a point on the board, or an extra point on the board for both Brighton and West Ham, but that is then 3 matches at the start of the season without a win for both. Interesting to see how that one goes. The last midday kickoff on Sunday is Chelsea at home to Leicester. This one's at Kings Meadow. This fixture last season was 3-1 to Chelsea. Leicester were actually the only team to score home and away against Chelsea in the league last season, which isn't a stat that I was expecting Leicester to be on the end of. I actually started writing that stat, and I've heard Leicester were one of, and then I was like, how many teams actually did that? Checked it, and I was like, oh, they were the only one that scored home and away against Chelsea. They're also obviously the first team to take points off Bompastor's Chelsea last season when they drew 1-1 at the King Power, but Chelsea have won the other 8 times that they have met in their history. As much as Leicester sort of did well against Chelsea last season. I say did well as in they scored twice and got a point. I can't see them doing very well at the moment. I think Leicester is still in a bit of a shambles. I think it was a bit of a lucky win at the weekend, and it's not something that you can repeat against the champions. Unfortunately for Leicester, I like to see them do well because they are sort of my most local WSL club. But yeah, this isn't one that I'm confident of them in. I'm going to go for a 3-0 Chelsea win. But I think if there's any more than 3 goals in this game, I think they're more likely to be Chelsea goals than Leicester goals. Jacob, I can see you nodding with me, so I'm assuming you've got a similar scoreline there.
Yeah, I have. I've gone 3-0 as well. I think from a Chelsea perspective, I think they'll definitely win the game, but I think the most important thing from their perspective will be to not have a repeat of what's happened in the last 2 games from a chances conceded perspective. Chelsea were obviously so strong last season. Well, so strong last season in general, but defensively as well. They kept the joint most clean sheets last season with 13, and they're obviously yet to keep a clean sheet this season. They've actually had the 6th most expected goals against, so that puts them in the middle of the table so far for expected goals against. So I think if they can keep a clean sheet and kind of prevent Leicester from creating chances, I think that will be a success from their perspective. Leicester have also, despite that win against Liverpool, Leicester haven't created much XG. They've only created 0.7 in their 2 games. So I think that's why I'm going for the Chelsea clean sheet.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Izzy, are you any different, or are you sort of on the same?
I'm going big. I'm saying 4-0.
Leicester?
No.
Not that big.
Yeah, 4-0 to Chelsea. I think that maybe they're still figuring out how to play with each other, given kind of injuries, given sort of bombasta bingo, if you will. But they've got Alyssa Thompson now. She's slowly integrating into the team. Sam Kerr's slowly coming back. Like, the squad is building in terms of strength, and I think this will be kind of the perfect team to just sort of unleash upon in the way that Chelsea do against lower teams. And I don't see this being an issue for them, to be honest, despite the last 2 games.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a comfortable cruise. And if anyone is a Leicester fan and is listening at the moment, let us know if you're going to go to the game or not, because it might be the sort of thing that you just say, I'm going to write this one off and just do something fun at the weekend and enjoy it. Let's move on to the final game of the weekend, the Alessia Russo derby, Manchester United hosting Arsenal at LSV at, for some reason, the very specific time of 2:50 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. This is first v second in the league. They are the joint top scoring teams in the league as well. Manchester United are only ahead on goal difference at the moment. Melvin Mallard is the league's top scorer with 4. Beth Mee is the league's top assister with 3. And this fixture last season actually saw a Mallard goal in it, Alessia Russo getting the other one in a 1-1. And I'm really struggling to know what way to go on this one. It's really difficult to make a prediction. It's really difficult for me to pick my fantasy team because I've got 3 players from each club. So I really don't know what I'm going for. I think Arsenal are probably just about edging it for me, just because I think that Man United don't do as well against the big teams as Arsenal do. And Man United have got the game on, I think it's on Thursday against Bran. So there might be a bit of rotation for them there because they've lost the first leg. I think if they'd thrashed Bran in the first leg 4-0 away and they were going to this one, you'd be comfortable that Man United are going to play a weaker team there and a strong team against Arsenal, whereas they're going to need to play players like Turland and Janssen and the like against Bran, and who knows if they're going to be fit enough to play against Arsenal on Sunday afternoon as well. So for that reason, I'm going to go for an Arsenal win. I'm going to go 2-1, but to be honest, I would not be surprised if Man United won this. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. I'm really a bit of a loss about what's going to go on. Izzy, how about you as the fellow Arsenal supporter on the pod?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I want to say that Arsenal have the edge because I think they have more depth attacking wise, and also, like you mentioned, the midweek game I think favours Arsenal a lot. But this is exactly the type of game where I can see them losing as well, or even a draw. I think it really just does depend on who shows up on the day, like which team. And I think, again, I really don't know. I'm hoping it'll be 2-1, but something in me says 1-1.
Okay, yeah, I can see a 1-1, to be honest. Jacob, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to call. Both teams have had almost mirror starts to the season. Both Arsenal and United have played London City Lionesses. Arsenal won 4-1, United won 5-1. And then Arsenal played West Ham and United played Leicester. United winning 4-0, Arsenal winning 5-1. So strong starts to the season for both teams, but obviously given the opponents, you'll probably expect both teams to have 6 points at this stage. So I think it's a nicely timed matchup. The fact they're playing each other in match day 3. I think last season both games were pretty close. At United, it was a 1-1 draw, and at Arsenal won 4-3 on the final day of the season. Sam and I were both at that game. So I think it will be close. I've put Arsenal to win 3-1 for this one. I just think Arsenal have such a strong attack, and I think they score a lot of goals. I think from United's perspective, yeah, given the fact they've got that brand game this week, I think that will probably be their main focus, and also the result of that could determine how kind of confident they are going into the Arsenal game, because obviously they're 1-0 down at the moment. So if they crash out of the Champions League, I think just emotions will be quite low in the United camp. I think it will be interesting from a United perspective to see who starts out of Turland and Mallard. Sam, you mentioned, I think maybe Turland will start in Mallard against Arsenal. But I think United are strong, but I think Arsenal wedge it.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Also, just to put it out there as well, because you looked really sad when you said it, but Izzy was at that game as well. We saw her after the game.
Oh, sorry. We were at the press box and we did meet Izzy after.
Yeah,
It's
me and
fine.
Jacob were sat together.
I was in the commoners' seats.
Yeah, you were for that game, to be fair. But no, me and Jacob were sat together, which I'm sure is what you meant. So, yeah, I mean, we claim to be the podcast that is all about the stats and facts. What we do not claim to be is the podcast that knows what's going to happen. And I think you can tell that from some of our predictions today. But we've at least given you the stats and facts behind why we have no idea what's going to happen. And talking about having no idea what's going to happen, let's talk about our aerial fantasy teams, because what I've sort of tried to do each week when we do these pods is sort of say who we think our best picks are going to be for the week ahead. But with Arsenal and Man United playing against each other, I don't really want to pick either like any players of either teams. I don't really know who's going to do well. The only ones that I might pick are either Mallard, because she seems like she's going to start in the league, and maybe Alessia Russo, because she tends to do well against Man United. But other than that, I don't really know who else to pick from those two teams. Chelsea, other than Hannah Hampton, God knows who's going to play. And then the only other players that I've got sort of down to that I'd pick for this week are Bunny Shaw, who I'm not going to lie, I wrote down after Jacob reminded me how good of a record she has against Spurs when she's actually fit. And the other one is Ebony Salmon. I sort of ummed and ahed about whether Ebony Salmon or Chastity Grant might be the best pick from Villa, but I think Ebony Salmon looked like she was on a bit of a mission to score against Chelsea. She had 3 decent chances, and yeah, given the quality of the chances, scoring 1 is probably about right. Probably not the one that she actually scored, because she only scores bangers, but I think she looked like a real sort of positive influence on that team, and like she could cause a lot of problems. Well, she caused problems to Chelsea. Who's to say that she won't cause problems to Liverpool? You know, a team that is potentially the worst side in the WSL defensively so far this season. So they're sort of my picks so far. I think I'm going to leave Bunny Shaw as captain this week. It didn't go amazingly well for me last week, especially when you consider that I transferred her in for Alessia Russo. But yeah, she's going to be my captain, Bunny Shaw. And they're sort of, yeah, those players that I've mentioned there. So Shaw, Hampton, Salmon, Mallard and Russo are probably the 5 players that I'd consider having in my team. Although as I speak, I only have one of those at the moment. So I'm not going to have all 5 probably. I'm going to need to have a look probably after the Brand game, see if there are any injuries, things like that throughout the week. and then make my final decision. But at the moment, they're the sort of players that I'm considering putting in, and I think Bunny Shaw is going to be my captain. Izzy, how about you as the AOL fantasy guru? Can I call you that?
No, you cannot. Listen, I may work on the game, but that doesn't mean I know how to play it. I again, and then comes with a complete disclaimer: never take any advice from me, generally, but particularly on this. I've gone for a front three of Beaver Jones, Tamberg, and Shaw.
I like it.
Given that Tamberg and Shaw are playing each other, maybe doesn't make sense, but I'm banking on them both scoring goals. It's a deeply specific prediction, but I think it might work. Tamberg's a visionary, and that's sort of my thinking behind that. And I do think she can beat the City defence. And I'm going to go Captain Beaver Jones because despite what Bombastor does, she does seem to like Aggie, and Aggie does seem to score goals. So I'm hoping that sort of that will be enough. Also, I can see her doing a few tap-ins, maybe a hat trick. I don't know. Something about it says Aggie Beaver Jones, but I have taken a 4 or maybe 8 point hit this week. I nearly played the clean slate and decided that was just fundamentally embarrassing at this
Yeah, I
stage.
think after 3 weeks in, you've really done it wrong if you haven't played clean slate already. Aggie Beaver Jones is one that I considered. Another one that I thought about was actually Sam Kerr, because obviously she got her first minutes, and is this then going to be like her first start back? And in which case, she's Sam Kerr. If she plays a game of football, she's probably going to score in it. But Sonia Bonpastor does not have my trust in any way whatsoever. So I'm other than Hannah Hampton, I'm not willing to put a Chelsea player in my side. Jacob, how about you? Is there anyone in particular you think is a good pick this week, and who are you going to be putting as captain?
Personally, my team's a bit of a mess. I had a bit of a nightmare in game week 1 because I had Naomi Girma in, and then she obviously didn't play, and then she dropped 0.1 in value. So my team's I'm now like 0.1 short of value in my team, so I can't make the changes that I want to because of I'm 0.1 million short, which is really annoying.
Because of Bombastor Bingo.
Because of Bombastor Bingo. I'm thinking I'll back what I've just said in terms of Bunny Shaw against Tottenham, which is I really don't like backing players against my team. I haven't got Bunny Shaw, but I think I might transfer Turland out for Shaw. As good as I think Turland is, I just can't have an £11 million player and not know whether she's going to start every week. And I felt the brunt of that last week as Turland did not start. In terms of picks for this week, a lot of the picks that I would have are not in my team. I think from a Chelsea perspective, you've mentioned Aggie Beaver Jones. I think she would be my pick for captain if I had her. I'd also maybe choose Ellie Carpenter as well, who could. I'm expecting Chelsea to keep a clean sheet, but she could also get some points for maybe an assist, which could be a haul. And then you've spoken on some of the other players. I'd go Ebony Salmon as well as a pick if you don't have her. I think she's visionary for game week 3. And then the other one who could be interesting is Vignola. Hoping she can break the Kiko Psycho curse. But I mean, they've got London City Lionesses in game week 3. So I think there's an opportunity there for Vignola to score points after a crazy game week 1.
Yeah, I think we've named a lot of players there, so I'm very sorry, listener, because you can't fit them all in your team, I don't think. But yeah, hopefully it gives you a little bit of a insight about what we're thinking, gives you a little bit of direction if you're unsure of what to do. Jacob, I agree with you as well around Elizabeth Turland. I think she's going to be one that I take out of my team this week, regardless of how midweek goes, mainly because, I don't know if she's going to play every week at the moment because Melvin Mallard's playing really well, but also because they're playing against Arsenal. And I think I want to say they're playing against Chelsea in a couple of weeks' time as well. So, yeah, that's another one where I don't, I mean, call me crazy, but I don't tend to put players in if they're playing against Chelsea. But yeah, that's about our picks for today. Don't forget you can join the Decoding the WSL verified league on Aerial Fantasy. If you haven't already, download the app, make your team, and join using the code STATS and FACTS. And that is about the end of our Game Week 3 preview. So thank you, listener, for tuning in to Decoding the WSL. If you enjoyed the episode, of course, go follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and follow at Decoding the WSL on Instagram as well. And check out the Decoding the WSL YouTube channel. We have a giveaway coming up soon. More details to be announced, but we will be giving away 2 copies of the new Football Manager game. It's released on the 4th of November, and for the first time ever, we'll have women's football in it. The Women's Super League will be one of, I think, 11 leagues off the top of my head. I might need to fact check that. But I think it's 11 leagues that are going to be playable in the game. And yeah, you could get your hands on a copy for free if you follow us and keep an eye on the giveaways that are coming up. But other than that, that's about us for today. So thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Izzy. And of course, thank you, listener, for joining us. And we'll speak to you at the next one. And we're done if I can actually